Hello everybody and welcome to the Birth of Apollo video series. Part 1 I guess for the title, but part 2 in the sense that I did the beginnings of Apollo video a couple weeks ago. But it's just going to say part 1 in the title because technically this is the first Birth of Apollo series. That's what I'm going to call it. This is pretty much a Let's Make a Model video series, but special edition considering it's a Titan. So in case you're wondering where that went, well, here it is. And then once the Titan's done, it'll be back to the boring Let's Make a Model title for the non-Titan stuff. So here we are. After waiting for the foot piece to come in and painting up all the things, which I'll show you in a moment, I have both feet done. To recap, dry fit everything. The parts that connect to the heel area have to be trimmed to fit, because once you take the extra flashing and whatnot off, it's still too long. Trim to fit, pin everything together. Don't connect the pistons until you get the final positioning of each toe that you want. Once you get the toes positioned how you want, put the pistons in, and then I like to make the full toe assembly and then connect it to the heel. So that's how I went about making these feet. The color scheme for my Titan is going to be this black metallic color. I call it mechanical black because I'm using it for the mechanical. Pretty much you take chaos black and bulk on metal and mix it together until you get as dark of a metallic black as you want. That's going to be on all the metallic bits for the most part. Using mithril silver to be the trim for everything, but for certain pistons and whatnot I'm going to be using brass. It's Cote d'Arms brass. If you have any possible brazen brass left over, it's the same color as that. And then a mixture of red gore and chaos black to get this dark red color, which I gotta make more of, which is going to be a pain in the ass because I didn't really write down the proper mixture, so I have to do it by eye in a different pot. And then once I get it pretty much spot on, I'll keep track, and that way I'll know for future. But and that's the color scheme. Now, excuse me. While waiting for the toe piston part to come in from Forge World, which it did, in my hobby update video, I talked about that, and obviously it did because the feet are done. I started working on some other pieces of the Titan. I started working on the armored cod piece and the cockpit area. So I'm going to show you the armored cod piece first. This sits pretty much right where the hips are. It's pretty cool. Now, there's a lot of open area like this. Even with these rivets, it's a lot of open space where if you go it freehanding, you could do a lot of mural type stuff or whatever you want to do. Now, I suck at freehanding, so I'm keeping it block colored like this. I do have some plans for one of my leg armor pieces, and we'll see how well that works. But yeah, I do have some plans in regards to that. Well, anyways, same basic color scheme, silver for everything, just to make it look alright when it's on. One thing I want to point out is the Mechanicus symbol. What is it, the Opus? The Mechanicus or something like that. I don't remember what it's actually called. I did the cog part, which is kind of built into the trim in the trim colors because I figured why not. But I did the symbol the way it's supposed to be, white one half of the skull and black the other half of the skull. With the bionic parts I did in bulk on metal. On some of the smaller Mechanicum symbols, it's just black and white. But with these bigger, more elaborate ones, I figured I might as well do the bionic parts in bulk on metal. So, one thing I want to point out is the white skull area. How I do my skulls and my white in general is, yeah, not my skulls, because with my skulls and bone color stuff I do washes, but to make something white, what I do is I base coat it black. Now what that does is it allows, it pretty much gets into all the recesses and like that eye socket there, and gets that job done for you already. What I do then is all the parts I want white, I put shadow gray. So every part you see here that's white, I did shadow gray. In my experience and in my opinion, I feel white shows best on shadow gray. It just worked best for me, so that's what I do, and I highly recommend it, at least to give it a shot. And then I paint white over it. and I'm careful to not get into the eye socket or like the nostril area over there, and that's pretty much how I do my white. So that's anything white, from symbols, armor pieces, anything. So that's what I did for this codpiece area. And then I have the cockpit minus interior done. Well, I'll clarify that in a moment. But again, this is how I want it to look. Another big, nice, wide open area. You can do your own freehand Legion symbol or whatever you wanted to do. I might put something up here. I don't really know yet. Depends how well it looks. I'm going to dry fit it. But this is the exterior detail. And then the head does come off, or at least the shell. There we go. Here it is. So I did paint the interior, but I did the interior detail in the cockpit, so you got readouts and whatnot, purity seals. But the Maserati, who sit here in the two chairs, and the prints up on his command throne are not done. I base coated and started in the base metallic colors of the prints up already, but pretty much what I plan to do is for the next step on the Birth of Apollo video series will be to finish the interior detail of the cockpit prints up in Maserati and do the shin armor pieces to get them painted up, because they are pretty big as far as parts of the Titan go. They have a lot of surface area, so I plan to do that next. Get those pieces done before I show you a video series or our next video of that. As far as assembly goes, what you should do next is the leg assembly, which is coming up from the feet. You attach to the feet and come up. I do want to do that, but I don't know. I figure I want to get the cockpit done and everything, because these are kind of smallish pieces. Get those done out of the way, and then get the leg armor done out of the way, because they are pretty big surface area pieces and will take a lot of paint. And I know I have enough paint now to do them. I don't know when I'm going to be able to go out and get more paint. Hopefully soon. So I want to get that done. But assembly line wise, you would do the leg assembly next after the foot. You pretty much build it from the ground up, and then you don't connect the legs yet. You do that once you have like the top part done. But that's what I'm going to do next, is the interior of the cockpit as far as the prints of Maserati go, and the leg armor, because I want to try something else, so I figure I'll do that. But who knows? If I start working on the leg assembly, I'll of course show you details on that. So you're going to have one of two videos next. Either you're going to see the prints up in Maserati inside the cockpit and the leg armor done, or the shin armor I should say, done, or you're going to see the leg assembly done. But either one of those will be next. So I guess I'll kind of not tell you which one which, because I don't know yet, and it'll kind of be like a surprise. But anyway, that's it for this video in the Birth of Apollo video series. If you have any questions regarding what I've done here so far with the Titan, feel free to leave a comment or PM me. I went over it a few times, and the whole thing about the foot, so I guess I'll do a quick recap again. Trim it to fit, dry fit everything, and pin everything. Don't connect the pistons, or don't glue the piston parts in until you have the final pose of the feet you want. And not just the feet. If you're doing any piston type stuff that requires you to cut the fit, or anything that requires you to cut the fit in general, don't put that part in until you got the pose you want. Just because if you trim it you can always trim it shorter. So that's another thing I would say, is trim it a little bit longer than what you need. You might find it fits in anyway, depending on the slot. Like this has a little bit of indentation for the small piston, so you can trim it. You don't have to trim it flush, you can trim it a little bit longer and put it on an angle and it'll sit in. But when you're trimming things, let's say you have it marked off, don't cut right at the marked off. Cut in front of it a little bit, and then you can always file it down or trim a little bit more. it's a lot easier to trim parts off than it is to try and add length to it. So, should be common knowledge, but always good to say. So other than that, that's pretty much it. Hope you enjoy what you've seen here. I'm a big fan of the color scheme. I don't know the ratio yet because I didn't pay attention. So when I remake it, because I'm going to do that soon, I will let you know the ratio in the next Titan series video, if I remember, and I hope I do. So until next time, take it easy.